Despite building communities, real estate as a sector has very low female participation, the women workforce participation. Today, on International Women's Day, we are going to find out why is it so, what can be done to improve it, and what are things that are already happening around it. We have a very interesting set of panel today. We have an architect in the panel, an interior designer in the panel, someone representing the developer side, the construction side in the panel. We have an influencer in the panel, and we have an industry veteran in project design, right? So let's start this conversation, which will give us some insight on how do we increase diversity in real estate as an industry. Namaskar, I'm Prasoon Kumar, and you're watching this new episode of The Property Show. Let me introduce our today's esteemed panel to you. We have Manisha Marwa, who's managing partner of Envire Design LLP. Manisha is a leading architect and interior designer, and she has delivered many projects. And she very proudly told me that she has almost 50-50 balance of women workforce in her organization. That's great. We have Alisha Khanna. Alisha Khanna is a real estate influencer. And Alisha reaches out to buyers, to you, through her videos, and she gives you different aspects of real estate. We have Ms. Hina Handa. Hina ji is an interior designer and managing partner of EDC Space. And she's an industry veteran, and she has been, delivering a whole lot of solutions with, over last 3 decades or more. On online, we are joined by Ms. Roshi Chillar, who's director at Landmark Group, one of the leading developers based out of Delhi NCR. And we have an industry veteran, Dr. Madhu Chandok, who's founding partner of PIP 2020. And Madhuji has over 4 decades of experience in project design and development. So this is quite a varied panel today, and we have lots of expert voices. So let me start by throwing open this question to everyone, starting with Manisha. Why is it that there's such low participation of women still in real estate as an industry? What's your take?
You're right, Prasoon. I mean, this number has surprised all of us. I think there haven't been too many research backing analysis done on this, but I think the numbers are kind of troubling all of us as women specialists of the industry. Just about 7 million women workforce out of a total 71 million universe of real estate workforce is troubling. Now, the point is, how do we understand it? I think there is a past to it. This has been a male-dominated industry. And the present is it's not a male-dominated industry any longer. I think there's a fair mix of women participants. And that we see every day. Like, you rightly said, Hina, you're a 100% women organization already. She's an influencer. I'm sure she's interacting with a lot of women. Yeah. I, as an interior designer and a company, are interacting with a whole lot of real estate women interior designers taking senior leadership position. So we are at a junction where everything is kind of all mixed up. We need to simplify it, as you said, and ensure that even as small units or medium scale industries that we already are, or large scale industries that you are, we need to ensure policies in place for our own organization to begin with, and ensure that participation is in equal numbers. We are giving more opportunities to good architects, women architects, and interior designers, and we are deliberately looking for them. So, very often I tell my HR team, pull out a few women architects. I need to see more of them. I need to talk to more of them. Or, when it comes to construction, I do change my idea a bit. I'll say, look out for more men. Now, that's purely because of the kind of society we are in. We need to take care of a number of factors like security, transportation, etc. I think we'll all come to those factors sooner or later.
Wonderful. Alisha, from your perspective, you are an influencer, and this could be as gender neutral, kind of an opportunity as one can look at, right? Because there are no hurdles, there are no barriers to really going online and going social. What's your take on this?
But before when you say this, I'm a real estate influencer, I would like to also add to this that how did I become a real estate influencer? Because I have a background of 42 years attached as a real estate firm, which is operating in South Delhi. So Once I got attached to it, I'm also an advocate from where it all started. And once I joined my father, I realized that when I joined him 10 years back, there were only 2 women, to be precise, in the entire South Delhi market acting as a realtor. So I took it online 2 years back, and of course, indeed, now I'm more pronouncedly announced as a real estate influencer, much more than any other this thing that I have. But when I come across a lot of people as clients, the first put down that they have is someone who's a woman is acting a realtor in between a transaction. So it's not really appreciated in one go by a lot of men out there, whether it could be someone who's a buyer or a seller.
Agree.
So putting this on a portal like this, I think a lot of men need to accept that women can be really good transactors
And
when it comes to,
negotiators.
and negotiators as well for you. And then eventually people realize this, that a woman had done this better for me than a man could have. Even if I'll say for the higher stake of builders, when they're selling out their property or whatever they're doing, they would any day get a better pricing when we get them a client versus a realtor who's 20 years in the business than I am in 5 years in the business. So that makes a much of a difference. So of course, by this we should encourage more women. Me as a team leader, I have 15 people, out of which around 6 people are females. So I also try, but of course, as ma'am said, that since men have to be out on the toes, and there could be a late night for them to show the clients around, we have to be careful on the security part and all that. But if there's an improvement on that front, I'm sure women can do much better in the real estate sector than men.
All right, wonderful. Let me take your perspective, Hina. You run a firm with 100% female workforce.
Yes, that's right.
From a diversity point of view, what are the top 2-3 things that come to your mind that probably would have led you, or would the challenges that you might have faced when you were kind of putting together this 100% team?
Okay, before I answer that, can I add to what they're
Yes,
saying?
please.
So one of the things that I agree with you completely, Alisha, and with you, Manisha. But one of the things that I feel is a very, very strong deterrent is that we have no role models in the real estate business. No advertised, talked about role models.
Okay.
In the business world, we have many. Everyone knows their names, but we have none. In politics, we have many, but we have none in this business.
Or very few. If we are taking this thing from Hinaji, an excuse that we are trying to become that. Now, why do we say real estate influencers? Is probably we might become a role model for women coming up or want to joining this industry. So
right. So for that goes for everyone who's involved in the real estate scene, and I think that is one of the reasons why women hesitate to come into the picture. All corporate jobs have late nights. All corporate women are, sort of trying to keep pace with the men. Home work-life balance is happening, but this is one area where I think you as a news person can make a difference.
Okay.
Okay. Now the next question. What was that? I forgot.
No, so you have put together this team of 100%, females in your, organization.
Right.
What were some of the challenges that you faced while putting this together?
So actually, I didn't face any challenges. What has happened organically is that women are committed, more committed. They have very serious time deadlines because they need to get back home or they need to do whatever else, the other roles that they play. So they are also far more intuitive as far as spaces are concerned. So the people that I interviewed, we've had boys before, but they've sort of dropped out because what was required from them was not only technicalities. It was also empathy. It was a feeling. It was an understanding about spaces. How do you live in them? How do you experience those spaces? So you have to have that empathy, which of course, there are a lot of men who have it, but there are a lot of men who don't even consider it because everything is taken care of for them.
Okay. I'm not going to fight for my gender today, but let me just take this to Roshi. On the developer side, when you are looking at a project from in totality, right? From its inception to its final construction and delivery. At various stages, you have various kinds of requirements. You do have architecture, you have design, you have project development, you have construction, you have sales and marketing, you have CRM, you have a whole lot of other things, right? But the female participation, the female workforce participation is varied across all these. What is your take on some of the reasons why this happens, and what are some of the challenges that you have seen as a developer?
Firstly, thank you so much for having me, and thank you, ladies. I think, like you said, there are various parts and stages of delivering a product and designing it with the interior design team, the architect. Then the product goes to the, I guess, the influencer stage where you can show it. I think what we forget is the core of the industry, which is the construction industry. And the biggest challenge we face in the country is having women involved formally in the sector, in the construction industry. And like in all honesty, truth be told, the industry is not conducive for women. There are safety issues, right? Then there are longer hours, lack of benefits, health insurance, maternity leave. And typically, you'll see women in the site on the construction industry, but they're part of the informal sector. So there's loading, unloading, picking up bricks. There's all kind of that work, but masonry work, but it's always in supporting like their family. It's because everybody's settled there. And so they're never considered to be part of the formal sector. The wages are going to be lower. So I think, sounding cliched here, but the change needs to start from the core. And we have various gender roles set up, stereotypes that are set up, which prevent from happening. So I think when we have a proper skilled development program, which is supported by the government, for example, RERA came in the picture, which made a whole discipline around and gave confidence to the home buyers. Similarly, we need a program that is initiated by the government for the safety and encouragement of women in the construction sector. Because the construction sector, believe it or not, accounts for about 7% of the GDP. It's about 15,000 billion rupees. So when you look at that, and when you have only 10% or maybe 15% participation of women happening in that too formal. Informal is not accounted for. It's really low. And so a lot of things can be a game changer in the sector. And so driving the change from the bottom can lead to more women, I think, in architecture, influencing side, in policy side, in interior design, whatnot. But I think a special attention has to be paid there.
Wonderful, thank you. Dr. Madhu Chandok, you are an industry veteran, and you have seen this industry evolve over last 4 decades, and more. What is your take? How are we moving forward in terms of this entire inclusiveness, diversity as far as female workforce is concerned? What's your take? How it has moved from decades over a period of time, and where we are today? Do you think this is a position from where we can actually build the true diversity in the sector, or do you still see challenges?
Thank you very much for having me here. And I'm happy to also be amidst the esteemed panelists and to share some of my thoughts. When I started my journey, and I think I'll just go back to my first day when I came at work, a young girl at about, say, 22 years old, in a room which was a project room, and a project was being discussed, and there were like people smoking, and this is in the 80s I'm talking about, around that. And then I had architects, I had designers, I had consultants, I had overseas people. And when I entered that room, as a woman, I suddenly felt, will I belong to that place or not? Or is it the right stream that I've chosen for my own self? And I think on doing sort of an introspection, and I'm happy to share something very personal on this dais, that till 5 years, I used to say "main khata hu," because my cousins were all men in the, all in the house, and only after 5 I say so. So I think that men sort of energy was in me, in terms of, I think we do need men around to give us that energy and feel good. But I think the power that a woman has, and I'm not saying because I'm a woman, and we are 3 sisters, and I've seen it going through that as well, that each one of us to become independent. So I think my journey went forward, and we actually, when I was heading projects for a big hospitality brand for almost 27 years, and opened about 11, 12 hotels pan-India. I was the lead of the project at that time. And this is, I'm talking between 80s and 2000. I am totally with you that my views were not very openly accepted. I had to prove my worth, and I had to say that this is the direction. So I had, even from men and other consultants, issues where they said, okay, it has to be this way. And I'm convinced that this is not the right way. So then I found my own ways of showing them both. Okay, this is what you wanted. This is what. So I think for a woman, it is important that we all who are sitting here, plus the other influencers and the senior management team, have to become role models, as rightly said by Ina. We do have many, but probably they don't recognize themselves as role models. So I think each one of us has to be, it's a drop in the ocean that we all can be to fill the bucket. So I'm sure if each one of us do that, and I was actually, by the end of the day, and I'm very proud to say, my second in command was a man, and he was like 6 years elder to me, and he was reporting to me. And we had a good sort of 16 years of a good work project team around, and about 35 of men reporting. So I was probably the only woman at that time. But not to say that I found my strength, and I'm sure each one of we have to all give strength to each other and have sort of a rippling effect, as I say. It's like putting a stone in the water and then sharing it with a rippling effect.
What can I say? I decided to put myself in between these five fantastic women, and all I have got to do is just listen. But I'm glad that all of them have found men worthy of doing something at least, right? But taking forward, all of you echo one particular sentiment, that if more female participation has to happen in the workforce, the safety security issues have to be addressed. The work-life balance issues have to be addressed, and therefore policy level changes have to happen across organizations. Okay, now let me go in reverse order, and let me start with you, Dr. Madhu. Since you have been at a leadership position, in organizations or in projects that you've been, handling. What are the kind of interventions you have tried to do to make it happen, and therefore have there been challenges that you have faced in implementing better policies related to safety, security, or work-life balance? How do you see this?
See, this is something that we need to have an empathy, and we need to consider the person's position. It's not just the team that you are working with, whether they are women or men. It's important to understand that person as an individual. So the policy has to be flexible. And if you do not bring, and I think all the more, maybe when we started, the policies were not very flexible. They were like A, B, C, D, E. But today, I think post-COVID, it's also actually made everybody less is more. So, and also if and we need to bring in people, so we need to have an individual policy. If there is a woman working in my organization and she has a small baby at home who's unwell, but she wants to work from home, I think I have to understand, as long as she's able to do that. And if she wants, so I think that's not something that a policy, what a woman brings to the table, in any organization, is the empathy, because she's been, say, a mother, she's been a sister, she's been a wife, she's had she's been a daughter-in-law, and she's had so many relationships where she's had to actually put together the best part of her to understand and to see that she is in gel with each one of them, because each is a personality. Similarly, at workplace, we have to understand that each one is an individual and we have to respect them. And I'll give you a very simple example. There was a girl that I hired as an interior designer in my department. I watched her for almost 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. She was very good at her work, but she was not vocal. So I called her once in my office, and I had a one-to-one with a coffee with her, and I told her, and her name, and today she's in a very good position in real estate. So I called her and said that, you have to start being vocal. It's very important for a woman to be vocal about what she feels, or to say. It's maybe every time it will not be accepted, or there might be a discussion happening. but it's important for us women to be vocal. I think that's what we wear off also. Many women do not want to talk about it. And we see they keep on suffering because of that. So I think these are a few things that I tried to make some difference in some lives. And today, when I see them really successful around, it just makes me feel very good. And being into academics, for the past 10 years as well, it gives me really very sort of energy to get from the young team as well.
That's great. Every organization today has a well-defined POSH policy, where the safety, security at workplace is thoroughly addressed. And I do think a lot of these things are today, a lot of these concerns are mitigating also because a lot of these interventions happening, right? Alicia, tell me, and I will only address you as an influencer today for today's discussion purpose. Tell me, when you are an influencer and when you are looking at various real estate issues that you're talking about, right? The safety security of female workforce in real estate. How does it come across to you when you are looking at the state of affairs and therefore the point of view that you want to put across? What are the issues or what are the topics that you would really want to pick and therefore be very, very vocal about? She spoke about why we need to be, there's a requirement to be vocal about things. What are some of those things that you want to be vocal about related to safety, security, work-life balance, basically making workplace more conducive for every gender?
Right. It's why, as a real estate influencer, first thing, see, I have a media team wherever we travel. Yeah. And most of that media team involves females, apart from one camera person who's a male. So when there are 3 assistants with me all the time, there's one advocate, there's someone who's shooting me, and there's one who's continuously posting. So what we adapt to a situation when we go to events. So we, as an influencer, we have done major events for brands like Gores, for Godrej and El Deco and all of that. So when we go to an event, of course, there's no time limit barrier of an event to end. So whenever we are leaving an event, of course, women who are married or unmarried, it does not depend on that at all. They are always worried about the support that they are getting, whether it be from the people they're working with, and of course from where they land up to, from where they belong, from the household they come. So I have been through a lot of examples of a woman who was just a 12th pass out, started working with me in media, and she grew really good in 6 months because I wanted to encourage all those young potential people who really cannot come out of their houses because of certain factors that they have. But when I see that the support and the kind of mindset that the family also has, we all need to push and make them understand that they really need to be out of that pressure of being just a woman. There's a lot of pressure on each lady or woman or someone who's in college or like all ages of women. So there's always that pressure that, oh, you are late, you're a woman, the neighborhood is going to be this is what they're going to say, you're coming back home, the owner's driver is going to come to leave you, you are connected to that. So socially, people really need to, widen up their horizons as to the kind of mindset we belong to. Okay. And that is a support when a woman will be at peace at home. I think they'll be able to do wonders. And for this, as rightly said, that it's not only about framing policies, but these policies have to be really practical, implemented at a very zonal level. It's not something that for the heck of it, okay, 6 seats out of these belong to a woman and you cannot occupy them in a metro, in a bus.
So the last mile implication of the policy and implementation.
Absolutely. It has to be that the safety, how to incur the safety of a woman is really important. Okay. That starts from the root cause where a woman comes from and from where, at the place where they're working. Like if someone's working with me, of course, we have to have an extended hand to be helpful towards them as to their safe back home in time or not in time, whatever it may be. But this really makes a change in their mindset towards their work.
All right. Roshi, let me come to you as a developer yourself. You spoke about the gruesome reality that there are issues, there are challenges that women have to go through in construction and real estate as an industry, and those are not easy to mitigate as well. Tell me, as someone who is in a leadership position, who has the power to bring about changes, what are some of the issues that you grapple with when you deal with these kind of interventions that you would wish to do in your organization or otherwise as well? What are some of these issues that you grapple with then?
So I think I don't think that we have issues because of labor force participation. We encourage more women to participate on ground, in office, both professionally and on site. I think it's just like encouragement lacking, where women themselves are not coming forward to participate in these roles. So we would like support of like policies and government on that end, so that we can have more women coming forward. Otherwise, at in our company, we are completely prepared to support the infrastructure that is needed, whether it's toilets or like any health benefits, or whether it's extended hours or like extended leaves, maternity leaves, all of those things. We are completely prepared, but I think it needs to start from like self initiative for them to be able to take the decision to come and join the workforce. At the same time, we also have a great like healthy proportion of women working professionally. We ensure like if there are women on our construction sites, they are getting equal pay as men, and they're considered part of the formal workforce, not the informal workforce. It's not just in support of like the men who are their husbands or brothers or whatever. At the same time, we are designing our products keeping the lady of the house in mind. Nothing like there's no marketing without the product being designed with that and like taken into consideration. So whatever we're doing, we want to make sure there is women participation when you have the investment deal going, when you have the architecture design being considered, when the interior, of course, is being considered, the sale is being done, when the customer relations is being handled, because the lady of the house is coming when they're doing the registration. Everybody's participating, right? And more women. They don't have to be part of like a family. More independent women are choosing real estate as like the topmost investment asset class as compared to other asset classes, because of just the sheer value of real estate being tangible. It's an inflation hedge. It's safe, and also it has this whole cultural sentiment associated with safety of like having your own home. We are not a society where renting is as glamorous as in other countries, like in the US. We are still a country where owning means something. There's a status symbol associated with it. So if our journey has that from like end-to-end basis involved. But we would definitely like more participation on the construction sites, I would say.
Can I add to this, because she's made a very relevant point. So we are into design and build. We also build most of our corporate projects that we design. This is a common problem we face, security and all of that. Yeah. But in today's world, we've already reached a point where amenities is something that we actually design for. We're designing a lot, we're providing a lot of designing tools that are actually favoring women. So be it, like she rightly said, be it washrooms that support women, restrooms for expectant mothers or lactating mothers, etc. on the side. Then we are ensuring that health and safety is looked into by proper gears that they wear, the PPE gears, or the proper health and safety gears. We are also encouraging women in the labor force, or say the masonry, to go through proper routine health checkups, or to go through sessions or induction programs on health and safety, etc. at the side. So a lot of these things actually happening in today's sites, build sites. So it's definitely a very positive step towards encouraging women force on the construction.
Yeah, I wanted to actually pick up two things that Roshi mentioned, and very important things. One is income disparity, right? So aside to all the issues, there is a real challenge of women being paid less, and this is not a real estate specific challenge. I mean, studies this across industries. It's a global issue, global phenomena. As leading women entrepreneurs or professionals, what's your take? How can it be really addressed? Is this something which is very top down? One big person takes a decision, that from today onward there is no kind of issues, or there is a greater malaise here, and that needs to be addressed. Let's start.
Would you like to say something?
So the thing is that I think world over, it's accepted This is one of those cultural leftovers that
Yeah.
is accepted, that the man is going to run the home. He's going to take care of whatever there is, investments, everything else. And the woman just has is also a me too. So now more and more women today, especially if I talk about the Indian condition, there are more and more women who are choosing to be single one way or the other, and they are having to earn their living.
livelihood, yeah.
Now, where the disparity comes in is where we as employers think that because a woman just has a secondary income, it's okay to pay her less. Whereas also the fact that she puts in a certain number of hours of work, whereas men can come in at 9 and leave at 9 at night, and there's no problem. So there are a lot of conceptual misconceptions related to this, which I think need clarification rather than bringing it to a policy level. There's an education that's involved. In fact, most things that I believe are social dysfunctions can be addressed if they are brought to the notice of the public. Could be through influencers, could be through people like you, because the preconceived notions need to change. The fact, like we have a lot of young women coming from tier 2, tier 3 cities. Now these women are, the fact that they've chosen to leave their homes and come into a city, a big bad city, and living in areas which I wouldn't venture into. Those women have guts. And those women do not think twice about going to sites in the middle of the night, going wherever they're going. It's up to the employers to ensure that they're safe. So if you have regular car hires, if you have whatever it is, it is a mindset for the employer in this case. So I wouldn't take it down to that level. I would say it's the entrepreneurs, the employers who would need to take these, and even if it's a small thing that they can do, I think it goes a long way towards creating confidence in their employees, especially their women employees, especially their young women employees. The other thing is that parents of young women in India today, again, and I'm talking about now my generation, think that the best thing that their daughters could do would be to get married. So we spend years.
Is that not changing?
No,
We've already traveled quite a few kilometers.
Only in the cities it's changed. Only in the cities, not tier 2, tier 3. So I've just lost a fabulous employee. Now, Sunday night she got married. She didn't want to get married, but her parents put so much pressure on her, family put so much pressure on her. She got married. She's left. I'm bereft. We spend so much time and effort and energy training them. Not only training in terms of skills, but soft skills. Communication, presentation.
But then isn't that also one of the challenges in terms of overall participation and all the issues that we're talking about, that this entire social structure that's there, where in spite of being trained, you got to leave something, and start doing something else.
Correct. Which is why I said it's a mindset shift. It's a perception shift that we have to create for the next generations.
And how much of this has to do with the woman herself?
A lot.
If it is about, listen, I am trained, I have a skill set, and I want to do something in life, right? How much do you think that is a possibility in today's societal within today's societal norms? We do see this happening in big cities and towns and everywhere else. Though I do have a lot of examples from small towns as well, where girls are today far more empowered thanks to the data democratization and the internet driving awareness. Do you still see that as a challenge? Is a woman still today not able to say that, listen, I am an architect, I am trained, I would wish to do, I just don't want to be married and packed
So
off?
one of the things that the biggest problem that women face, and I'm sure men as well, but here I'm talking about women, is guilt.
Okay.
It is the fastest thing in the world to knock your feet out from under you.
That's because they're very vulnerable, actually. It's sad to say
I think it's a human thing.
You're right.
So it's so easy.
It's a mindset which is vulnerable.
It's so easy. It's a confidence that you need to develop in yourself. It's a skill that you need to develop to say that, I'm doing the best that I can. I'm all right. I have a right to my own life. It's a mindset shift.
And also that these girls need to look for women head entrepreneurs, so that people like us actually encourage them,
Manisha,
pave a way for them.
role models.
Yeah, exactly.
You're right. Role models are the basic level, and
Yeah.
you're right. We need to segregate this.
And we will
layers.
come to that point. That's a role model is an important point that Hina you have made.
Yes.
But I want to touch upon another topic that's there, which Roshi also picked up a little bit, which was around product designing, and you spoke about
Right.
how it's getting more either neutral or women centric.
Correct.
Now, diversity as a catalyst for innovation and growth. Therefore, right, in real estate. How much do you think diversity would play a role in terms of literally changes to happen when it comes to the core of real estate, when it comes to architecture, designing, when it comes to really giving a different kind of product out there to the market? Manisha, let's start with you.
So I'll be happy to talk about this because I see a lot of women architects and interior designers influencing the way they're designing for their clients. The whole process of understanding the client requirements to design briefs and design developments and then of course the real execution and handovers. It's a whole process, and the inbuilt system, inherent system is for women to understand it a little better. I'm not saying that the men aren't, but they get it better, quicker, fast track, more efficient, and they create efficient designs and therefore take this forward. But from the corporate, which is the client side, and if a client is a woman, and a lot of these client real estate heads in corporates now, clients who are taking decisions, who are decision makers, they're also influencing the way we are designing, because they almost very passionately and very quickly think about good designs which are inclusive, which are flexible, which are collaborative. And I'm talking about offices because we specialize in office interiors. So I noticed that all our designs are more collaborative, more functional, and then warmer. So there is this side of warmth to the whole design palette. The design palettes have changed.
Then let me take this to the client.
Sure.
Roshi, you as a client, of Manisha and Hina, tell me such instances or such plans, strategies, designs where things are, as she's mentioning, probably more warm, has more warmth in its design, is more women friendly in terms of its overall outlook. How much do you think is actually a reality of all this conversation?
I think talking in today's world, all of the above. Because it's not a choice anymore. I think I want to take a step back before I address that. Diversity is needed to grow. Our country cannot achieve the India is going to become a superpower dream without women working. No, like nowhere does it suggest in any country's development, past history, that it has grown without women participating. So if women don't participate, we can forget about the GDP growing at the rate at the anticipated rate that has been determined. So we don't have a choice. Keeping that in mind, that the women participation is going to increase, more people are going to be in the office. It's all in front of you. Like, we just are not expecting. We should have it as a norm that more equal or even more women are going to be in the office buildings and homes in societies everywhere. So earlier it was like, oh, women, the homes are going to be designed as for women, or the malls are going to be designed, or the shopping malls, or these high street malls. Well, office is somewhere now, it's going to be the same thing in mind. So I don't think there's any challenge to it. If someone's doing their designs, if someone's working with someone not keeping that in mind, then they're doing it absolutely wrong.
Dr. Madhu, tell me, 10 years from now, it is estimated that the next generation will be there in the market as consumers, as buyers of real estate products, right? And from an architecture, design, or end product perspective, the millennials and Gen Zs have grown up in an environment where inclusiveness and diversity issues have been thoroughly debated, and at least has been there on the table for a discussion, right? How much do you think this is going to impact the way we are going to look at the future of the real estate and construction industry from here on? And what are the kind of changes you anticipate to happen there?
As we see the Gen Z or Gen Alpha, as we call it now, so they are too young right now. They're too young. No, I think something that I discovered. I think we all see today, the generation gap is 4 years. So I have two sons. I have an elder one and the younger one. They are 4 years apart, and there is a complete generation gap in the thought process of both of them. So I would say the future generation, if we are talking about a decade from now, so many things will change. Many things will change, and they are changing. They are looking at more experiential spaces. They are not looking at luxurious spaces anymore. These young generation is looking for experiences. We at our time or in our generations probably took maybe one holiday in a year, or so. They will actually move out much more. So probably the real estate space in terms of the housing, if we were to divide the real estate into so many sections, housing probably will have to go into another model where probably kitchens will become only like a finishing kitchen, because not much will be cooked at home. We are actually today, if you see, we from our grandmothers to where we are today, we also experience a little bit of change. We had probably as a young during we were when we were in school and college, we were hardly ordering out. Maybe it was like a family get together once a month or in 2 months when you used to go out to eat. But today, I think every weekend or everything, something or other has to happen. So these things will change, and it will change the dynamic of how you even plan your real estate for future.
Wonderful.
Just to
While I come to you, yes, Roshi, please.
Just to add to Dr. Madhu's statement, like very rightfully said, and correct me if I'm wrong, I think you mean this agnostic of men and women, because what we are seeing in the Gen Z and millennial generation is the gender roles are changing. The disparity that our generations, our parents' generation or grandparents would see between men and women, that is changing. And what we're heading towards the next 20 years, 30 years is going, I don't think we would need a panel discussing challenges for women.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes,
That is
Hina, you
So
want to
the one thing that I also feel is that because life expectancy is increasing with medical intervention, people are surviving longer, with various kinds of disabilities. There are also a lot of children at a certain age, in their between 20 and 30 now. There was some kind of a medical issue during those years when they were born, but there are a lot of these children who are um, they have cerebral palsy, they have special needs children, right? Now the facilities for these children is going to be important because their parents are getting on and they're going to go. We have nothing in this country as yet. So
yes.
There is one of my friends in Arizona. She has a daughter like that. She was taking care of her for all her life. Now she's also a very big senior citizen and unable to take. So she has to put her into a facility like that. So you're very right. I think you've touched a very good point. And I think we have to think futuristic on this side as well.
I mean,
come on, Roshi, go for it.
Roshi's already said she's all for it.
She will make her notes, and those will be her next projects.
No,
absolutely.
I think one very, very powerful statement that came out of Dr. Madhu was, this entire idea of finished kitchen. The association of women with kitchen. And if you break that stereotype, right, that itself sets a lot of things right.
It's already happening in Singapore.
It's already happening in
Singapore.
Yeah. So wonderful. So just to, we had fantastic conversation. Just to wrap this up, one last, bit of input from all of you, starting with you, Manisha. 5 years from now, what percentage of female workforce will be there in real estate?
I want to say 50-50, but the reality can be, say a 70-30 also. But at the same time, we are in India, so we got to be very, as I said, practicality, more implementation, more layering, more understanding, at basics. So that will help with the ratio. So 50-50 is still my bet, and that should be our aim.
Okay. Alisha, would you be more optimistic?
I would be more optimistic. I'll say 60-40 at least should be the ratio in real estate, especially because the way we are encouraging women in our offices on an influencing level, or even in construction, as we can see Roshi ji, a part of our panel discussion, that she's on ground, getting all these developments done. So definitely 60-40 should be the ideal ratio 5 years from now. On base one level, things need to change. Our mindset needs to change, and we need to be more encouraging and adjusting towards the women in our families and, of course, extended people who are working for us.
Wonderful. Hina, your take?
So I
You are
would,
already 100% in organization, so not the wrong person to ask this question to. But still, from an overall industry point of view.
so I would like to say 40,
Okay.
40%, but I think one very good thing is that our real estate industry is moving towards organization. And the moment it becomes an organized sector, we are going to see a higher rate of increase. So,
Yes.
so I think it's up to you guys.
To take
As
this
role
forward.
models, how much can we
Yeah.
fulfill our
Yeah.
goals?
Yeah.
Roshi,
Right.
as a developer, what's your take? Give me a number.
I don't have a take as a developer. I have some real numbers, I think. The average participation rate of women on a global scale is 47%.
47.
And in India, it's 24%. Sad truth. In even Saudi, it's 40%. In Indonesia, it's 50% almost. So even if we hit a 20%, like 28%, I think we'll be very lucky in 5 years.
I do think the informal sector, while there's a lot of things that do not get measured, right? Formal sector, yes, 24%, but if you look at really, outside of that formal sector lens, there's a whole lot of participation. If you go to paddy fields, for example, you'll see more women actually sewing and, working, cutting and working over there than, that's one of the reasons, yes. Dr. Madhu, I need a number from you as well.
I would say that if we were to look at just real estate, then and how do we segregate real estate? And I think who all are part of that real estate journey.
Everyone.
It's not. I'm just saying, if we were to consider what Roshi just said, in terms of the construction labor, and in terms of if we were to add up all that, I'm sure we'll reach about 60%. I'm sure. But today, if we were to very formally say, I would say about 40. 40 should be our target, should be 50, but I think we should be able to achieve 40 is what I feel.
All right. So on that very, very optimistic note, on this International Women's Day,
Beti Padhao, Beti
Bachao,
Jagao.
Beti
Beti Bachao. That's working as well.
And beti ko kaam pe lagao.
और बेटी को pressure मत करो शादी करने का.
Exactly.
Yeah, a lot of things there. Let's just hope and wish that we have more diversity, more women coming into the workforce in real estate. It will be for betterment of the category industry, as well as will be a key catalyst for us achieving the Viksit Bharat 2047 goal. On that note, thank you very much for watching. Keep watching MBTV. We'll come back to you with many such interesting topics. Thank you.